Okay, so we are out here today. Mac is doing one of my neighbor's houses actually. And so she had called and she just wanted her little front sidewalk done and she wanted her windows done. And we have a minimum price. Our minimum price is $250 for anything. If we pull up, we're getting paid $250. And I gave her a price of $225. I gave her a slight discount. She is my neighbor. She watches our dogs when we go out of town. She's a sweet lady. I like her husband. Long story short, she said, this was a text message, wow. That was her response, wow. And I thought to myself, wow is right. I am giving you a hell of a deal. Yet, she didn't think it was a good deal. And I said, hey, our minimum price is $250. And again, her response back was, wow. And so I thought it was kind of funny, but it's something that we have to understand. And it's something that I didn't do for the longest time. And that is understanding our value and understand that customers, they do not dictate our price. We dictate our price, our costs, our market, they dictate the price, not what the customer feels they should pay, right? Yeah, they think to themselves, oh, you're only gonna be here for a little bit. It's a small sidewalk, it's just a few windows. But at the end of the day, there is a lot more that goes into running a business than just washing some windows or washing a sidewalk. So let's take a look as Mac does his thing. And I'm also about to tell you a story about a customer who tried to tell me how much he was gonna pay, and I'm gonna tell you how I handled it. I also wanted to tell you that Quote IQ is giving away $1,000 on January 1st. All you have to do is download the app, leave a review, and send a screenshot of that review to admin@quoteiq.io, and you might win $1,000. So a while back, I was talking to a customer, not unlike the conversation that I just had with my neighbor, but obviously they were calling for a price, and they asked how much it would be to clean their 3,500 square foot house. So I told him that it would be $500, and he immediately says, for a house wash? That's a lot. So that's a red flag by itself. But just because I like to probe, I asked, how much did you think it should cost? And he said, at most $200. It's not that big and it's not that dirty. So then I told him that he could save a bunch of money and do it himself, to which he replied that he didn't want to do it himself, which is why he was calling us. So I told him for $200, I would teach him how to wash his house. So in addition to saving $300, he would also then have the knowledge for the next time that he wanted to wash his house. And I was actually surprised because he said that that actually sounded like a pretty good deal. So I told him that I was excited to help and that he would need to go and buy a pressure washer. He'd need to get 100 feet of hose, a wand, and a bunch of different tips. He could probably use his own water hose. And he was also going to need to buy the bleach and the surfactant, that he was going to need a long range tip because his house was pretty tall, and that we'd probably need an extension ladder because there were 2 dormers on the back of the roof that we couldn't reach from the ground because there was a lanai over his pool. And just a few little other odds and ends like some tarps or some plastic, because I noticed that they had a rose garden on one side of the house that we needed to protect because we didn't want to damage it. And guess what he said? He said that he didn't have all of those things and that he doesn't want to buy all of those things just for one time. And of course, that's not a problem because I've got all that stuff and I would be more than happy to rent it to him, in addition to teaching him for an additional $200. And I then told him that we could do it on Friday and start at 8 a.m. and get it all knocked out. And he told me that he couldn't do it because he works on Friday and asked if we could do it on the weekend. And I told him that we don't work on the weekends. And then he asked if he could go ahead and get on the schedule to have us do everything for him. There is a lot more to it than just spraying some water on a house. There are a lot of other things like the knowledge, the experience, the training, certifications, the tools needed, the chemicals needed, how to use all that stuff, the time it's going to take to do it, the insurance, all the marketing it takes to get them to be your customer, and knowing that it's going to be done by a company that's reputable. And they forget that all of these things are also what they're paying for. And this is why it's so important to understand your numbers, understand where your break even is, understand what your profit margin is, understand where your marketing dollars are best spent. And you need to understand that without knowing these things, you're flying blind and you're never really going to know if your business is healthy or not. Because of this, you then know your worth. You can value yourself. And so customers don't dictate your price, right? But what you can do is you can add more value. You can stack the deck. You can make it more appealing, or you just choose not to work with certain people. But again, you know, this time of year when it starts to slow down, we see brown grass. That means that business does slow down. It doesn't mean that it stops. In some areas, obviously it does, right? If you're in the
Northeast and it's freezing cold, then yeah, you're not going to have as much business. So sometimes you do have to be a little bit flexible, a little bit more fluid in your pricing structure in order to stay busy and to make that money. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and boom, 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 I'm home. See you.